What would happen if our producers disappear? Steve Jobs, Sergey Brin, and other industrialists fall off the radar. Their company shuttered and their creative genius no longer powering America. The answer lies in Atlas Shrugged Part 1, which we're reviewing in today's Movieology. Welcome to Movieology, your ticket to engaging the spectacular world of film from the bedrock of biblical truth. I am your host, Joseph Darnell. Watch the show on our website, movieology.tv. Subscribe on YouTube, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to Movieology's free e-newsletter here. Atlas Shrugged is a best-selling novel that has generated inspiration and controversy since its publication in 1957. But with its film debut this past April, it floundered at the box office. For this movie review, what with this complicated history and plot of the film, I am compelled to bring in one of Movieology's secret weapons. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to introduce to you Eric Rauch, one of my good friends and worldview mentors. Eric, great to have you on the show.
Great to be here, Joe.
Welcome to be the first guest hosting appearance since Michael Minkoff, really one of our sub-in hosts, but you're really the first guest hosting appearance apart from Michael. And people love Michael, so people should love you. Me and Stuart, we don't get any love around here. Eric is a vice president of Totally Lege Press, a family-owned Christian publisher based in Atlanta. He is also one of the editors of Zionica.com, a daily Christian news website that highlights the impact of Christianity around the world, and he happens to be a great movie worldview enthusiast. So I'm just going to let you take over the review right now. You'll cover the summary and the review portion, and I'm going to step out.
All right. Dagny Taggart runs Taggart Transcontinental, the largest remaining private railroad in America with intelligence, courage, and integrity, despite the systematic disappearance of her best and most competent workers. She is drawn to industrialist Henry Rearden. Rearden's super-strength metal alloy, Rearden Metal, holds the increasingly rare promise that innovation and risk-taking is still alive and well in the not-too-distant future where government controls have all but destroyed economic competition. Using the untested Rearden Metal, Taggart and Rearden vowed to rebuild the critical rail line through Colorado to pave the way for oil titan Ellis Wyatt to feed the flame of a new American Renaissance. Hope rises again when Taggart and Rearden discover the design of a revolutionary motor based on static electricity in an abandoned engine factory, which is more proof to the sinister theory that the men of the mind are on strike and vanishing from society. Atlas Shrugged Part 1 stars Taylor Schilling, Grant Bowler, and Graham Beckel. The screenplay is based on the novel by Ayn Rand and was directed by Paul Johansson. Atlas Shrugged is a sort of movie that is doomed from its very beginning. Although the book is still in print, it's selling anywhere between 150,000 to 500,000 copies a year in recent years. It is not the sort of book that interests most people. Aside from its massive size, it's well over 1,000 pages. Its subject matter is far from being fascinating to most readers. Atlas Shrugged is not your typical novel. It is a thinly veiled outworking of Ayn Rand's own political and economic philosophy. In fact, Atlas Shrugged was Rand's last novel. Any writing that she did after 1957, which was the year that Atlas Shrugged was originally published, was nonfiction. All right then, what is Atlas Shrugged and why bother making it into a movie? Well, like any cult classic, Atlas Shrugged most certainly has its loyal band of followers. Obviously, a 50-year-old book that can still sell hundreds of thousands of copies a year is getting advertising from somewhere, and in this case, it's primarily through word of mouth. I can still remember going into a used bookstore in State College, Pennsylvania, when I bought my first copy of The Fountainhead, which was also Rand's first successful work of fiction, her first novel, and that was published in 1943. The lady behind the register, after she took my money and handed me back my change, held the book in her hands before letting me have it and said to me, in a hushed voice so as not to attract any attention, "I read this book at least once every year." When she was sure that I got the message of just how important this book was to her, she let go and gave me a sort of knowing nod as if to say, "Guard it with your life." This was my first brush with a true Randian. Ayn Rand fans treat her works with the same respect as Christians treat the Bible. They are, in a very real sense, their holy books. While I realize that I'm supposed to be doing a review of this film, it is difficult to do so without discussing the book. And with only a short amount of time that I have, I really can't even do that. And since Atlas Shrugged is such a complex story of philosophy, economics, and Ayn Rand's own moral views, and especially her sheer detest of the biblical model of loving your neighbor as yourself, if you really want the lowdown on the worldview of the story, a good place to begin is the Wikipedia page. It does a fairly good job of explaining the book and its author, and will give you much more information than I am able to present here. But for all of you out there who are wondering if the movie is really worth seeing, I will tell you this. If you've already read the book and are already a rabid Ayn Rand fan, then yes, go see the movie. In fact, you probably already have, 3 or 4 times. As for the rest of you, however, I can tell you that the movie version of Atlas Shrugged suffers from what can only be called adaptation sickness, meaning that the producers and writers of the screenplay have made the unfortunate decision that in order to make the movie properly, they must be completely loyal to the book itself. To do this, they are releasing the movie in 3 parts, making it more of a mini-series than a movie. And if the same philosophy of adapting the book to the screen is taken with parts 2 and 3 as has already been taken with part 1, viewers of all 3 parts will have no need of reading the book. In an effort to keep the loyalists of the written work happy, the producers are ruining any chance that any other viewers will be intrigued enough by the film to want to read the book in the first place. In actuality, all they have really done, again at least in part 1, is to give us a visual version of the book, complete with long sequences of dialogue and tedious introductions to each of the main characters. The conventional wisdom in filmmaking of show, don't tell, has been completely abandoned here out of a misguided goal of being faithful to the original. Now don't get me wrong, Atlas Shrugged Part 1 was not terrible, it just wasn't compelling. Like the book itself, the completed versions of the film will require a huge commitment of time from the viewer. And I just can't imagine anyone other than the already convinced or the intensely curious being interested enough by part 1 to want to continue watching the other 2 parts. Critics have almost unanimously panned the film, but this will certainly not deter Ayn Rand fans in the least, since the book itself was almost universally panned when it was first published in 1957. And like most cult classics, the harder the critics are on the work only serves to prove to the fans that they are really onto something. And since most viewers of the film will already be Randians to some degree, they will surely smile, knowing that once again the critics have missed the point and still don't know the answer to the question, who is John Galt? I give Atlas Shrugged 2 stars, mainly because all it is a visual version of the book. They took the words of the book and they put it on the screen. There's really no adventure involved. They didn't take many risks. They just took the book and they turned it into a movie. So if all you want to do is see what the characters look like from the book, go see Atlas Shrugged.
Well, that's interesting, and in spite of knowing that it'll put me to sleep, I think I might want to see this film now, just to know what a book on video looks like.
That's all it is.
Eric, thank you for joining us. We'll have to have you back for a film that you enjoy a little bit more than Atlas Shrugged. Find out what sparks your interests.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to thank our wonderful sponsor. American Vision is dedicated to restoring America's biblical foundation. Their articles, web shows, like Movieology, conferences, books, and videos offer some of the best worldview studies. No biblical enthusiast should go without their wealth of scholarly work. As a Movieology fan, you are treated at 10% off all purchases at AmericanVision.com when you use the coupon code Hollywood at checkout. So I encourage you to check them out at AmericanVision.com. So that's it for today. If you would like to contribute to the Atlas Shrugged review, add your thoughts in a comment or email us your feedback, questions, and suggestions to info@movieology.tv. Remember to watch our show from the website, movieology.tv, the source for worldview enthusiasts, news, reviews, and discussion of all things film. And please do us a favor, share Movieology with your friends and family that you like to discuss movies with. I am Joseph Darnell. Until next time, thank you for watching Movieology.
That's about all you really get. Much beyond. There's no...
And you'll magically appear. It'll be magically delicious.
Thoughtful, there's really no... My phone's ringing.
So that's it for today. Yeah. Wake up, you sleepyhead. Come on, get out of bed.
I didn't know if I was supposed to say anything or just...
Yeah.
You have me on the pasty white setting?
Now I have you on the zombie green setting.
Oh, that's even better.